We've got a whole lot of stuff going on in the Internet Society this year, despite COVID and all the other setbacks that the world has had currently. But I think we've got a number of things that are worth talking about. So we've had a few meetings since the beginning of the year. So we had the one, I'm just looking back at our notes, and this is available on Google Docs. We had...
Shall I share it?
Can you put the
I think
link
so.
in the chat?
Yeah. So the 6th May 2020 meeting did not happen. Just updating this in real time. Okay, so let's talk about 3rd of June, that's today. So we've got a solid set of attendees. So everybody, thank you for joining. I think chapter member approvals. Is Sanjeev on board?
No, he's not.
Not yet, okay. Ankur or Sophia, would you be able to address this?
Well, we had some member applications, but all of them were people that were outside of Singapore. So following what is established in the Constitution, we just send them a message that the application cannot be approved because of this, no? Because they have to work or live in Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's it. So no new members in this period because of that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But there was this case of Jonathan Brewer, who I believe has been approved already, right?
Yes, it's
Yes,
already.
I approve, Jonathan.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Has been approved, Sanjeev confirmed. Perfect.
Does not meet our specs, but my view is if he's enthusiastic enough and he's willing to join, fine. We're not charging him, we're not taking him as a member from a regulatory point of view, but he's always on the Isoc, he's a chapter member. It helps
Perfect.
to get notified.
No, makes sense. Okay, great. Other items. So moving on to item number 2, accessibility and digital inclusivity. Sophia, so were you able to talk to Thomas or to Saad about this?
No, unfortunately, I couldn't contact Thomas and Saad, but the only thing that I can mention is that, well, we have a good news in Singapore because of this situation, the COVID is literally making clear and make everyone aware about the digital divide that exists in this in the country, and I think that definitely we have good steps in order to close this gap, and I think the new specific policies are going to put in place new resources and everything. So I think that is an issue that is going to be very in the news for sure. So I think that many new programs are going to be developed regarding this digital divide.
Okay. Is there something specific that we might want to talk about going forward?
No, I think that definitely I need to contact Thomas, especially because he is the one who is working more closely to this. But definitely we need to see if we can collaborate or we can contribute in some way with all these new projects. So I try to get in touch with all these development of programs, and maybe we can do something about it. Yes, Ankur?
Okay.
Ankur is, unmute your mic. Okay.
I was looking for the raise hand. I don't think they have a raise hand, right? Okay. No, I was thinking, Sophia, as you were speaking, right, on this topic of digital accessibility and digital inclusivity. I think one of the pressing issues which is in the headlines is jobs and careers. And I don't know if we've ever had a session on this, but it'll be nice to hear, what kind of jobs and careers and career pathways are available to, interested students, graduates, PMETs, like as encryption, for instance, or in any area of the internet, really. And we have a lot of people here who can talk from their own experience. devices. So it's not really a technical discussion, but it's really something very topical. I'm sure people want to hear about these things. Where are the opportunities? Where can they apply? What kind of skills are needed, to succeed? Just thinking out loud on this.
Yeah, but definitely the new development is going to be very big. It's going to have different channels for all these updating of technology, plus updating of skills as well. Yeah, they are talking about instructors for elderly and how we can tackle this problem in order to really involve everyone, not only in the technical thing, but as well in the skills and as well in the economical problems, accessibility to all the technology, computers itself, so the devices and all these things. So I think that the topic has been discussed, and I think that there are going to be a lot of new avenues for us to contribute. So I will keep updated the situation as is happening. Okay.
So, Sophia, did you see my link about Professor Lim San San from SUT?
Yeah, indeed. She's the one who was talking about this especially talking about the not only the technical stuff, but many different levels of the digital divide.
Yeah. So, shall I link her up to you, and then we can invite her to
Absolutely, and I know her. Yes.
I met her a number of times. Do you know her?
Yeah, I know her.
Oh, you know her? Okay, yeah.
Yes, absolutely, and definitely, I'm very interested to contribute with all these, because I think that there's a lot of things that we can do about it.
Excellent.
In terms of. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Moving to the next item then, which was Isoc Foundation Beyond the Net Small Grants. This is more meant for well, I guess anybody that's interested, including our viewers on Facebook Live. Members can consider the Isoc Foundation grant program. So they've got Beyond the Net Small Grants. Yep, thank you, Ben. That is on the screen as we speak. So there's a fairly substantial set of resources that are available for people that are interested, and it's funding to support chapters and special interest groups to implement short-term projects for learning opportunities, increasing membership, or undertaking specific research projects. So if anybody's interested or has ideas, that's the link to go.
Perfect.
There isn't a specific action on this beyond communicating this to any of the interested members on this call and otherwise.
I would like to find a way to use something from here with the emergency comm stuff that Roland and I were.
Harish, can't hear you. You might be too far from the mic.
Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Better.
Yes, no? All right. No, so I was thinking whether we can use this Beyond the Net for the emergency comm stuff. At least for a trial or something. I mean, it could be, I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, just like maybe long distance Wi-Fi connections, for example, or something of that nature, just to get a trial, just to get to see what it means to do that in the Singapore context. And I'm just thinking whether that's something we want to explore. Roland, I think maybe that's something we could do potentially. The deadline is the end of the month, 26th of June. So I'm looking
Roland,
at the
any
4
thoughts?
areas
Roland,
that
muted?
You're muted. Yeah.
There we go. I will consider it. Certainly, for radio stuff, I tend to own my own, sort of buy my own gear, but there's no objection to proposing an alternative way of funding it, particularly if that means sort of less cost out of my own pocket. So sure.
because I'm looking at the page itself, on the foundation page, the focus areas. One is strengthening the internet, growing the internet, as two areas or focus areas. So perhaps strengthening the internet is something maybe we want to have a look at.
Also, I haven't checked. Skill development, is that? No.
There's a skill development there. I don't see it. I mean, I don't think there's a problem for suggesting something around skills. I'm sure.
To see point, building community networks. So it's this is a skill development task rather than building it per se. Sorry.
Roland, sorry to interrupt. Sanjeev just said he has to leave. Sanjeev, before you leave, do you think you could just talk to us very quickly about the securing time, the NTS extension to NTP?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, loud and clear.
Yeah. Okay.
Since you said you had to leave, we thought with just a quick update on the securing time would be great.
Yeah, this is to have a talk at one of our monthly meets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When would you like it? I've got these slides because I've done this for others. I've got these slides. When would you like them? July? First week of July?
We could do that.
Do we have an? Oh, yeah, done. So I'll send the slides around a couple of days earlier, so all of at least if there are any or whatever, we can do that. Yeah, done. It will be about 20 minutes or less, 15 to 20 minutes, just a primer, and maybe 10 minutes of discussion after that.
Perfect.
Excellent. So our agenda for July meetings already settled.
Yeah.
It's growing.
20 minutes. Woohoo! Thank you, Sanjeev. We will let you depart for the night, unless there's anything else you'd like to bring up.
Jay, I've got two things. One, I see the same 8 faces. Where?
No, there's Chun Seng.
Hi, Mian. Nice to see you.
And there's Chun Seng, whose face is hidden.
Yeah. But where is the outreach? How do people know that, meaning apart from us, how do people know that we are having a meeting in July?
There's actually 100 and something emails, 150 emails went out to our mailing list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so 150 emails went out to our mailing list, and we have actually our meetup list, which is also 100. Is it 100 or 90 people? So Donaldson and Jay and Donaldson and Zach and Al have actually said they are coming. I don't know whether they're watching us on Facebook Live and YouTube Live.
Oh, no, it's okay. No, I'm not even asking how many people are attending. I'm just saying at least people are aware.
Yep.
If they don't come, they don't come. But at least 150 people in Singapore know that we are having a meeting. If the meeting isn't interesting enough, that is fine. We can't do that.
Yeah.
I was worried that only the committee list is getting the invites.
No, it's about 150 people.
And my last issue, sir, who is our webmaster? Evola, and I'm looking at you. You can't see me, but I'm looking at you. Who's the webmaster?
That would probably be me, Sanjay.
Once a week, once in 2 weeks, if you could log in and clear comments or turn off moderation. If you don't want that, just turn off comments on the posts. Because otherwise,
I thought I already did.
I logged in about 6 weeks, 7 weeks ago. At that time when offices shut down and all, I had time, and there were a very large moderation queue.
Really? Okay, that's new.
Maybe have a look. And I did a WordPress update, but then I haven't. Just about 6 weeks ago.
Okay, I thought the moderation had sort of dwindled to nothing, apart from the sort of thousands of pre-2017 spams. But okay.
Great. Thanks,
Sanjeev, I got one question. Sanjeev,
yes.
Before you go,
yes.
For your proposed talk next month, is there something that a person who attends that can do immediately after that, or are you going to demo something as well?
I can demo by screenshots. I'm not going to build anything. These things blow up spectacularly if I say, watch this.
Okay.
So my plan is, what is NTP? A nice self-congratulatory stuff about how NTP runs the internet. And then problems with NTP in the sense that you're getting time, very good time, but who are you getting it from? So that is a problem that NTS is in the NTS RFC is in final call for the last 2 months. It went into final call after the December meeting. It's been slowed, and we should have it by July end. NTS is a network time security. It's a set of extensions to the NTP protocol so that you can authenticate the server who's giving you the time. And after that, you continue with NTP. So it's an add-on. Allows a client to authenticate the identity of the server, does not allow the server to identify the client.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So then we'll talk about that. I'll show some statistics, and if there's interest and there's time, and after that, actually that will become too technical. Yeah, that's it. 15-20 minutes, and maybe allows a client to authenticate the identity of the server, does not allow the server to identify the client.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good night. So then we'll talk about that. I'll show
Thanks,
some
Ajif. Good night.
statistics, and if there's interest and there's time, no, actually that will become too technical. Yeah, that's it. 15-20 minutes and maybe 10 minutes of discussion.
So I've added that to the first July
I'll send you an
meeting
abstract, Ben.
draft agenda. Okay, back to today's agenda. So emergency community network. Roland, Harish, anything to update? Thanks, Ajif. Beyond considering the beyond the net small grants?
Embarrassingly, no.
Okay, I guess if we're perfect. If we've got a 26th June deadline, then perhaps you can update us in the next meeting.
Yes.
Okay, back to today's agenda. So emergency community network. Roland, Harish, anything to update? Contract for the web beyond considering the beyond the net small grants? Okay.
Embarrassingly, no.
Fine. Okay. I guess if we're perfect. If we've got
there was one on UN, OEWG, and IGF. Ben was considering conducting a briefing.
Hang on.
Yes, go ahead.
Before you go to number 6, the contract for the web, I would like to see whether we could have a slightly maybe parallel tangential discussion around the notion of a bill of rights, a digital bill of rights. It is not really contract for the web, but the idea here is, since we are talking about what we have seen right now, the digital divide is quite evident. So should we like to? I mean, I'm looking from a Singapore perspective. That means pulling in and creating a document that pulls in all the different rights that we have as citizens, as people living in this country, from whatever laws that we have in the Constitution and so on. Pull that in together, and then also figure out what is missing from a digital life expectation perspective. Like, for example, I mean, just throwing some stuff out there, like the right to be forgotten, for example, and the ability for me, let's say, to request for surveillance data of videos of me walking down the street, for example, and things like that. I mean, whatever it might be. But I would like to propose something. Maybe not directly under contract for the web, but something maybe.
It's analogous. I get the idea, and it's actually there's a major change imminent in Singapore. We missed the opportunity to comment, but I had a look at the draft or the guidance document on the update for the PDPA, and it does actually make quite significant progress on a few of those things.
Okay.
So okay, that's an interesting idea. Like, what do we think is appropriate, and what do we have, and what's the gap?
Yeah. So I mean, to me, that's a good starting point, because at least we have a notion of these are all the stuff that we have. This is all planted in all the various laws, and we pull it together in a single document, and then see the gap, and then figure out what else we need to do in the context of a smart nation as a aspirational goal.
So setting aside that I'm routinely failing to get stuff done on my Isoc list, I will make progress. That's a really interesting question. It's also interesting because although Americans get very excited about their Bill of Rights, certainly the area just of data protection, let alone everything else, the data subject rights are actually only one tiny part of the picture. In sort of GDPR terms, data subject rights are 8 articles out of 91. So there's actually an enormous amount of other stuff that matters that doesn't have the shape of the right of an individual so much as obligations to somebody else. So it's an interesting analysis, and certainly the world has changed substantially even in the last 2 years. So, okay. Let's see if we get some of the other stuff I've agreed to have done first. But yeah, it's worth pursuing, I agree.
Okay, thank you.
So Harish and Roland, I've put that under contract for the web at the moment as a placeholder. And I've suggested it as a digital bill of rights in the context of Singapore's smart nation. I think that pretty much sums it up in terms of how we want to. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think we could discuss this next week?
Next week?
I'm sorry, in the next meeting in July?
I believe I will make time in the next 3 weeks. Yeah, I expect to get drafts out for all things with my name on them before our next meeting. It's the last 2 months I've been working, but otherwise not really enjoying myself and not getting much personal stuff done at all. So that's starting to change. I actually hope to have progress on all 4 items for next meeting.
No problem.
It would be good if we have someone with the legal background as well. I'm not sure whether Brian can help. Maybe Brian could, but or Ben, maybe you have time as well for this.
Yeah, send it my way, and we can try if Brian has time. And Peng Hua may have ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds interesting because I'd be quite happy to build on it, and then I might write an op-ed on it as well.
Yeah. No, I think we really need that because there are many aspects about the notion of the rights as an individual. What does that mean?
Wait, we have so many lawyers on this call. Sophia, Ankur.
Oh yeah, I forgot that you guys are lawyers too.
Yes, I'm also in. I'm just trying to then.
And I was thinking as well in not only the GDP, but as well the new California legislation and how this is affecting the global environment, specifically Singapore as well. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys teach this stuff, right? Ankur, aren't you
Yeah.
teaching PDPA?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Sophia, right?
Send the draft around to all of us, Harish.
Yeah, okay.
So, sorry, I know we were supposed to.
Ankur, are you in some windy space?
Yeah,
We got more wind than you.
Sorry,
are you in a wind tunnel testing something?
Your fan is on, I think, Ankur. You need to turn on.
No, it's window. I don't know what floor you're on, man. You're like
the windows.
Hurricane going on.
Or it must be the students behind.
They rush out.
They're breathing down my neck.
There we go.
Now we can hear
you. Is it better? Yeah.
Finally.
All right. Yeah, I had the fan right next to me. Yeah.
So
okay. So not my fans, just the only fan.
Don't sit on the fence, man.
Okay.
Jay.
Yes, I know. Sorry, couldn't resist.
That joke.
Just.
All right.
Go on, Ankur.
Yeah. No, sorry. I feel a bit embarrassed because I haven't actually even read the public consultation document, and I know we were supposed to do something on it, but didn't happen. So yes, let me get down to reading that first, and then whatever Harish, whatever you have, if you have any material, I'll also do some background reading, like right to be forgotten and right to information, generally speaking. These are, I think, very important in the digital context as well, not just in in the real world context. Sure.
Great.
So are we thinking of doing like a PowerPoint, or are we just going to put up a document and then
my initial thought was to create a document, a document in which people can contribute, and we have a among the authors, as it were, we come up and have a discussion, and then this could be a topic for a subsequent Isoc monthly meeting.
And
invite the rest of
Isoc
the.
is actually looking for people to
Okay.
publish articles, right? Because
Yeah.
what's his name? Adrian actually contacted me and said, "Hey, anybody's got something to write?"
Oh,
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we could
Oh,
actually
okay. Okay.
get published. So anybody who needs to hit the publication numbers,
Mhm.
yeah.
I don't have any official numbers, but I do need to
Yeah,
hit my
me
own
too.
target.
Exactly, my own target too. Mhm.
All the academic
Okay.
stuff.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good.
Maybe we can create a Google Doc and work on it, and and
Yeah, yeah. I think
that material.
let's do that. We
Let
can.
me put a link in this minutes of the Google Doc that I have started on for the
Oh, right.
digital
Okay.
rights, so that we can put it.
Okay.
I'll just do that right now.
Super.
Perfect.
Yeah, so efficient.
Yeah, what can I say? Damn technology is just annoying when it works. What the heck is it for this?
Cool. Okay, while Harish is doing that, if we can move to point 6, Ben, UN,
I know that
OEWG, and IGF.
Harish has to go, so I will do a super short and quick summary, which
The
is
intent, sorry to interrupt. I was just saying what we discussed was that if you had an abstract, we could include that as part of our EDM and have people show up for your talk. So if we do that in July, that'll be an action-packed talk.
well, July is going to be quite a while.
Yeah,
Okay.
because we've got a 20-minute session from Sanjeev, and if you're able to do a session as well, we could either do that in July or move that to August.
Yeah, okay. So I'm okay with August as well. Might be interesting to see how this pans out in July, because what happened is that there's actually been this process that's been around since 2004 that a lot of people do not know about, especially unless you're an academic in this field or you're a government person. There's this thing called the UN GGEs that have been meeting since 2004, and they've actually, I mean, this may seem kind of obvious and silly, but by 2013, they had concluded that international law applies to cyber operations. So that if you actually did a cyber attack, country to country cyber attack, it would actually be governed by international law. So so that would mean that certain things, for example, you're not supposed to target civilians, and if you did target civilians in a cyber attack as a country, you would be involved in a war crime. Which also means that if you did that, then your victim would be entitled to a counter-attack because you would have declared war. So this has been actually around since 2013. And in 2015, the GGE also came up with 11 norms of behavior, which have since been adopted by the General Assembly, of how countries should behave to one another. For example, do not attack critical infrastructure, do not attack your certs, and do not let your territory be used as a proxy. So these are all nice theoretical things. Of course, the difficulty is that when you say that a cyber attack will then invoke the UN Charter, the problem is that we then need to decide what amounts to a cyber attack. Because in traditional law of armed conflict, an attack must result in physical damage or injury to people. And as we know, in a cyber attack, this may not be the direct case. It may be a second or third order result. So there's a lot of damage that you can do to a country without actually killing anybody in the first order attack. And so they came up with these things called the norms of responsible state behavior. And these 11 norms are meant to be voluntary and apply even if there's no actual war. So the norms are supposed to apply during peacetime. And if you have any country violates these 11 norms, which I can talk about at the thing, then everybody would then be united, hopefully, in condemning them and take whatever necessary measures. And they also committed to doing confidence building measures such as sharing of more information between countries so that they would be less likely to point fingers, and capacity building, which is to help the weakest countries to build up their own cybersecurity. So the thing is that in 2017, the last GGE were unable to reach a conclusion on that exact question I was saying. How do you apply international law? And so as a result, in 2019, they tried to come back to the meeting table, but this time, in addition to the GGE, which you see on the right column, and which was actually mainly supported by the US and like-minded countries, the Russian and their allies also proposed an open-ended working group. Now the difference is that the GGE has 25 member countries, and the Russians say that, look, that's not democratic. You need to have all the UN member states, which is ironic because then you have Russia telling the UN that they're not democratic. And so they said, okay, fine, we'll have both. And so I've actually been at a few of the UN meetings for the OEWG. I was invited to speak as an expert on the international law question, and I was also invited in my capacity as an academic for the multi-stakeholder session. So this is the whole timeline. The original timeline was that they were supposed to have meetings to try and thrash out these issues of how to apply international law. And then you see that at the end of the timeline, they were supposed to have reached conclusions by May 2021, and you know that we are in June now. So actually, a whole lot of things were thrown out of whack by COVID-19. And as a result of which, there's a question on how they're going to carry on, whether they would have, it's apparently not possible to have safe distancing meetings of 192 member states, whether they're going to have it on a Zoom for the UN. So, and remember, there's two processes to take care of. One, which is the US-led GGE, which has 25 members. And these are the 25 members. And meanwhile, at the same time, they're trying to reach out to all the people like ASEAN, African Union, to try and get their views on how international law should apply. And there's also the Russian-led one, which is all 192 member states. And that's still postponed because the final meeting is postponed because states have requested a physical meeting date. So there's certain proposals on how to formulate common understandings. So as you can imagine, there is a great divergence in view between the US and the US like-minded countries and the Russian side. And then there's also the Chinese side. So on the US side, they say, let's just interpret how the law is meant to be used. On the Russian side, it says, no, let's sit and discuss a treaty. And the US side says, no, a treaty will take too long. In the meantime, you're going to cause all kinds of havoc. And then the Chinese side says, no, if we even talk about this, we'll be encouraging more war, which I don't really understand. So this was to invite all states to get involved. I give credit to Gillian Goh from United Nations for preparing this presentation. So yeah, that in a nutshell is what I will talk about, and probably at the same speed as well. Yeah.
Is there an abstract?
What would the possible action items for Isoc, if at all?
So the Isoc as a whole has been invited as one of the multi-stakeholder parties to give the views. And this, and we as Singapore chapter, I think we have the kind of like opportunity to give some views on how we feel that the norms could be implemented and how the law could be interpreted. As to something quite fundamental, which is what amounts to a cyber attack. Because in our minds, we think of a cyber attack, data destruction or the DDoS or malware. But in military conflict law, you need to have something broken or people injured before it amounts to an attack. So where do we draw that line? That's something that we can propose as for interpretation.
And I guess, Ben, also the concept of boundaries. How does that fit in with the, in a cyberspace where there are no geographical boundaries? Physical, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. So more people can contribute ideas to this. Yeah.
So just wondering, I mean, this is a question for you for your presentation on that day, but do you think that the cooperation, the groupings will shift given all the, geopolitical changes happening? Just
That is a
broad.
fantastic question. And I think we won't know until they actually meet again. Although I don't think that things will move that much, but neither would I say that they don't move at all. I think people who are on the fence, countries that were on the fence, would probably be, people who were thinking, I'm going to rely totally on the US, so I'll follow the US method, might be thinking twice about that now.
Right.
But those, like, for many of the European countries or Australia, example, they already have a particular view of how the world, how they should be interpreted.
US method.
So might, in a way, that I don't think they change their view.
Right.
I'm just wondering whether this would be good to have a worked scenarios. That means scenario A, because that will help people have some, element of concrete thing. Because we know when some building is blown up, we know when some people are killed. We can viscerally feel that, we understand that. But I'm just wondering whether it's for something like this, because it's somewhere something else, we don't know what it is. So if we have some stories to tell, that means like work examples, what does this mean, and would this be a relevant scenario or something like that? I don't know, I'm just thinking.
Yep, war stories basically.
Yeah, it's essentially war stories.
Yeah, I think that will definitely help to make it concrete.
I think like the very famous case, right? The Iran and Israel, the nuclear reactor. I forget the name of the case, but
Stuxnet.
Stuxnet. That's right. Yes. So something like that, very like the classic locus classicus in a way, if there is anything, and then just
Scary, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll write up an abstract.
What should we call the briefing, Ben?
Okay, let me think about it. Because if I say UN processes, I think nobody's going to be interested, right?
No.
What
WG/IGF.
I think the question is, what is a cyber attack?
Yeah, that's a good
new rules for a cyber attack.
Wow, rules, really?
Yeah, it's what it is, isn't it?
No, I think that's a good start. I mean, maybe another way is also
cyber attacks, the new reality.
No,
yeah.
No, did you know that you just got attacked? How do you know that you got attacked? Right? Because it's supposed to be stealth. It's supposed to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got attacked. What do you do about it? I mean, legally, something like that. Right.
Ay, sorry.
You got owned.
So
cyber attacks dealing with the new reality.
Yeah, dealing with it. Yeah.
So it's there on Google Docs. Feel free to edit, Ben.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Ben.
Great, Ben. Thank you for that. That was great. So we tentatively put that for August.
Yeah. By then we should know whether they actually proceeded or not.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So item 7, project updates. Roland, shall we defer that to next month for an update?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Perfect. Okay. We can do that. NTP we've discussed before Sanjeev left. There were open standards. I wasn't quite sure about this, but in the interest of time, I think the election rules might be more interesting given that elections are on the cusp here in Singapore. Do we want to discuss this? Or does anybody violently insist on discussing open standards first?
No violence, please.
Thank you. We all
I
concur.
violently insist upon the absence of violence.
Sounds good.
You violently insist that, yes. I violently agree.
I think we all violently agree. So carry on. Are we doing open standards or shall we do election rules? Ben, you put this up. Maybe if you just want to take a minute to talk through what you had in mind for open standards.
Did I?
Yes, this was from your list on our chat group. But if it's not something
No,
that...
I copied it from the Google Doc.
It's one of the open Isoc
Okay, I think.
projects
It's-
internationally, but
If
standard.
none
don't
of
think
us
we're
know
taking
what
much.
it's about, let's just go for it.
Ah, yes. Oh, yes. Okay, hold on. Saad's to show us tactical tech exhibit, but Saad is not here. So I guess this was something that we were looking at for FOSS Asia, and we didn't follow this up necessarily. So I'm just going to remove it.
Yeah, election rules then is definitely going to be topical. I
Yes.
think the thing is, this is usually something where we call him Brian, and we call
Yep.
him Peng Hua.
What does this topic item mean, and how is it relevant to Isoc Singapore?
It was actually about how does it involve your use of the internet during an election. Can you do?
Let me
I know that actually Sanjeev has raised a question before. These are all.
bear with me one
content
second.
issues.
Bear with me one second. I've just pasted our previous discussion on this for context. There we go.
Yeah.
So
The idea behind it was we have done this in previous elections. The intention was to help people do things correctly. If they're going to be using a website, what does that mean? You know, what are the things helping people understand what are the rules of the game? Because at the end of the day, you know, it is something that's done on the internet and using the internet for to communication. So
yeah, especially now with the
if anybody should, if anybody should be able to help guide it along, you know, we should be an ideal group to suggest. I mean, if we had no lawyers and all that, okay, that's a different story. But we do have, and you know, it's helpful to potentially do it. So that's why we had done it before. But that doesn't mean we should do it again. But it makes sense in my mind that we should do it.
So the good thing is that Brian has secured a panel. So we've got Remy Chu and I think Ang Peng Hua as well as Kevin Tan. I think Ben, you'd mentioned this to be confirmed. So we've got potential panelists. Question is, and given it's not official yet, but the whispers seem to indicate a July call for election. Do we want to prioritize this for July?
Can we prioritize if it's announced?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's what it says.
Yeah, so
it says once the election date.
If it doesn't announce, then we just carry on with the other stuff.
That's fine. July session / move to August. Yep. So I think that's clear. So the decision on that one still remains as before.
Sorry, is there a particular
I want to say hi to
topic?
Rajesh Srinivasan, who's been watching us, you know.
On Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Hi,
Another
Rajesh.
lawyer.
Yeah, we've got 4 people online on Facebook. Hello, Facebook viewers. Welcome. There's no way for them to identify themselves unless they comment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Last item. United Nations processes for state use of cyberspace.
That's why I just
Same thing.
Is the one that he just did. No?
So
I think
this
we just covered
is
that.
perfect. Okay, great. And then I've added Sanjeev's request, Roland, for you to update the website and moderate comments on a weekly basis.
I got a question about comments moderation. Should it be, I mean, maybe Roland, you may be too much on just one person. So if we have 2 or 3 of us, whenever we come around to it, moderating it, and then be done so that it doesn't pile up and let the process go on.
Can do, but I don't. I'm surprised at the claim that there was a large moderation queue.
Okay.
I'm
happy to help out. I mean, just one of the moderators in a list that we're done with that. But if you think you're able to handle it, no worries.
Yeah, it's essentially 100% spam.
Almost all of them are, even on my blog. It's all of it.
And in fact, it's all on the about. I think we've got comments turned off on the. Oh no! Oh, I remember now. Okay, so we've got a limited time period for comments on blog posts, and so whereas the About SG page, the About Isoc SG page doesn't have a time limit, and so that in effect, what happens is that gets consistently spammed.
Why not just disable all comments, right? That's not.
I am wondering about that.
Yeah.
It seems like a substantial cost to bear for very little benefit. I think probably the better answer is to eliminate commenting on anything except blog posts. I have an idea. I looked at this and couldn't work out how to do it. But
or even if they want to comment, why don't they just send us an email or we put our
commenting in context is fine, but we could probably limit commenting to blog posts only and for 7 days only. I mean,
Could I check if we're talking about isocsg.org or where are these comments?
Apparently we abandoned, isocsg.org, correct.
Because I'm looking at isocsg.org right now, and the last comment there is from 2016.
Yeah. And
comments are closed.
Yeah.
So where are these comments and where's the moderation queue?
Well, like literally all of the comments are spam, and therefore they're not visible on the website.
Fair enough.
And the moderation queue is inside the
admin channel
module.
Yeah. Okay. Because it says comments are closed. I wonder if it's just for that thread, because otherwise I don't see very much else here. Yeah,
I mean, to put numbers on it, I've probably cleared 7,000 spam messages for 2 comments.
Oh my!
It is. It's basically just bots spamming.
I think we should probably just close the comments because it doesn't seem like a good use of anybody's time, really.
Well, no, because I'll have to go back and check it because it looks as though it's not working the way I intended it to. But there's no difficulty with it's. This is a normal problem in InfoSec. Understand that if you can divide the size of a problem by 1,000, then it might not be a problem anymore. And so what I'm saying is, bots don't care. Bots will simply spam every comment form they can find.
Of course.
So on the website, we have all posts. We have a total of about 75 posts. So, and the site's been there for like 5 years. So if you, in a given 12-month period, we're currently posting about 4 times. Absolutely should do more than that. But if you've got 4 posts which allow commenting for 7 days, then you've got 28 page days of exposure during the year. If you allow all 74 to be commented on at any time, then you've got 28,000, like 1,000 times the problem. So in fact, it's to chop it down and say blog posts only and for 7 days only takes away 99.9% of the problem. And that I'd suggest is enough to allow the, and I don't mean with moderation, I mean it eliminates the need to moderate, right? If bots aren't finding places to comment, then they won't comment.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the.
Okay, I gotta go, guys. See ya.
But I'll have another look at what's happened there because it does seem that spam is appearing in places where I did not expect it to.
Yeah, that is a bit odd. Okay, so I think that's all of the agenda items. So we've had a super productive meeting, in fact. We've got items teed up for 1st of July, which is the next meeting.
and potentially for the 5th of August as well. And if the elections are announced, it looks like we might have a full-on agenda for the 1st of July meeting. So watch this space, I guess, is for all of us. And Roland and Harish, if you have the bandwidth over the next couple of weeks to update, then I think the 1st July meeting could be very, very interesting indeed.
Yes, indeed.
Perfect. I think that's